Welcome to WBBL Review. I am joined by Ben Stanley of the Leicester Riders now. How are you?
Good, thank you, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Anytime, anytime. Obviously, big news in the summer. You're joining Leicester Riders. Initially, how do you feel about it all? Big change.
Obviously very excited. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous. It's a different league for me. It's somewhere I've not been before. Know a lot about the Riders program, obviously having been in Nottingham for many years, and they're just over the road from us, so it's something that I would be aware of. I've been involved with the WL as an assistant coach before, but it is a big change for me. So it's exciting, but it's nerve wracking as well a little bit.
So obviously, I like to do these interviews so we get to know the players and the coaches a little bit more off court, as well as kind of thoughts of on court things. So I want to start with, where were you born?
I was born in Broke Park Hospital in Wallasey, which is near Birkenhead on the Wirral.
Okay.
I don't have the accent because my mum's from down south and clipped me around the head every time I spoke with it in the house. So kind of lost that a little bit.
I was going to say there's not even a hint of it, is there?
No, not at all. Unless I'm around proper Scousers for a prolonged period of time, you can't hear it at all now.
So when did basketball become a thing in your life?
I think it was second to last year of primary school. I think I got into it. Some kids playing on the playground at school, enjoyed it. Went off and did some local camps, some stuff related to Leicester Jets community stuff they were doing. Joined a local club and then got picked up by Ellesmere Port Panthers, which is now kind of the Cheshire Jets feeder that kind of turned into down the line. Just loved it. Wasn't very good at any other sports. Kind of got into it because I was bigger than everybody else and was good at it by virtue of being bigger than everyone else. Was very fortunate to grow up around some very good people in basketball, some people that are still going. The obvious one is probably Mark Stootle, who I've known since I was about 13 years old. Just loved it and fell in love with it and kept going from there, really.
Like, Mark certainly has the accent, by the way.
Yeah, he definitely does, yes.
So you started obviously just at the end of primary school. Was that just you and some friends playing with the basketball? Or was that something that was led by school, or was it a big thing in your school?
No, not at all. One of the lads just brought a ball to school and we were playing on netball hoops in the playground.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm honest, I think I got into an argument about one of the rules, and he was right and I was wrong in hindsight. But I got so frustrated by this argument that I went off to a camp and started doing, summer camps, half-term camps, all that kind of stuff. And then got onto a Cheshire Jets camp that Mike Burton used to run, and that was kind of really where I fell in love with it, at that camp.
You mentioned obviously being a part of Nottingham. That was obviously quite a long time in your career. So when did the Nottingham connection start?
So I was down in Solent with my partner, and she got a job up in the East Mids. So we moved up there, and I was just looking for something to do. Didn't have a job at the time. We moved for her work. So I was sort of sticking my nose in at Nottingham Academy, where Phil Waghorn ran things at the time. Obviously, the Wildcats now run that. Was very lucky that Bev Guyman gave me a recommendation to Pauline Pryor. So the Wildcats brought me in. I did coach for them for a couple of years. Assisted Dave Greenaway at WBBL. Coached their under-18s. We made it to the national final that year. Very proud of that group. I think they overachieved. And then kind of moved over to the men's side because I was still trying to play, and it was a lot easier for me to play and coach the boys at the same time. So I played for Hoods for more years than I'd probably like to think. Coached at the academy, coached some of their junior sides, and then decided that I wanted to take a break. And I actually said I was done and that I was retiring. And Lee English at Hoods, bless him, messaged me every month for 3 years and said, "How you doing? Are you okay? Want to come back yet?" And eventually I kind of broke and came back and coached Hoods for 3 years, 2 years.
So when did coaching become a thing to you? Like, was it something you were always interested in? Talk us through your thoughts on your starting in coaching.
It was I don't know if I'd say I was always interested in it. Part of my mum's from a vocational background. She's a dance teacher and is again now a dance teacher. And mum's attitude was, I will get you wherever you need to go. I will support you however you need to be supported, but you will get every qualification that is available.
Mm-hmm.
So back then you could do things like level 1 referees and coaching at 12, 13. I think I did my level 1 ref at 14. I started coaching sort of give back sessions with the minis at 13, I think, at the first club I started at. So it's kind of always been something. I did community sessions when I was at college at East Durham with Bob Martin and Brian Calder and Craig Lynch. We did the Friday night community give back sessions. I've just kind of always done it. It's always been there. And if I'm honest, my capacity for coaching is probably a lot higher than my athletic ability ever was. So, it's just kind of always been there, and I enjoy it. I really love. I think I've learned to love the building the relationship that you get more than the basketball side of it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So you had your time in Nottingham, then you semi-retired for a little bit, and then back in Nottingham. Was Solent straight after that?
Yeah, so Solent obviously had a big change of direction. And as I say, I've been part of that program and coached junior teams there for 3 or 4 years. Consider Matt Guinan to be a very close friend of mine. I've known Matt Bishop, who's the chairman of the club for a very long time, James Matthews. So they put the job out and I kind of applied for it, not really thinking too much of it. My partner applied for a job at head offices in Southampton and she applied for a new job in that same company at the same time. We kind of joked, there's no way we're both going to go back to Southampton at the same time. And then lo and behold, so, went down there. We were supposed to be doing the men, which obviously I did, but the women's team had a bit of an issue around not having a coach at that point in time. I said, give it to me. I've always coached men and women. I genuinely don't know which I enjoy more. Are 2 very different challenges, I think. And yeah, it was a great season. Obviously, with the women, especially, we won the league, won the playoffs. Just really enjoyed the whole year. It was a lot of work. I think I've said it previously. I think I coached 67 games last season,
Wow.
Which is a fair old chunk. It was great. Really enjoyed the year. Really, really couldn't have been any happier with it, I don't think.
So 67 games, that is a large chunk of the year gone just playing as well as all the training things that come alongside. How did you manage to kind of juggle that commitment?
I I didn't have much of a life until about Christmas, to be honest with you. Was pretty solidly, to do something like that with the scouting that's involved and the prep. It's an easy 60-hour weeks, and I think most coaches probably at this level or higher levels do 60-hour weeks anyway. And up until Christmas, I was just full in. I was committed, and I think actually the Christmas break probably kind of hurt me because it made me remember that there are other options than just coaching. Yeah. But yeah, it was just I just really enjoy what I do, to be honest with you. I love being on court. I love scouting. I love watching video. I wouldn't say I'm in love with the planning, but I recognise the value in it. So you do what you have to do to get a good product out there.
And then the Leicester roles come about. How did you first find out that was a possibility? Talk us through that move.
Well, so obviously there were some issues with Southampton with Solent on the club's control. I told the club, look, I'm going to have to start looking for stuff. And I'd actually given up. I got an email the night before to tell me I hadn't got one of the jobs I'd gone for, and I kind of said to my partner, I said, look, I'm done. We'll see what Solent come up with. We trust them. They're good. I got a text message the next morning from a very good friend of mine who I won't name and said, I've contacted Riders and told them that you're available. Nice. I sort of joked with him and said, no, there's no way. And a couple of hours later, I got a phone call. And then from there, it was pretty much a whirlwind, to be honest. I think they offered me the job the next day. I made the decision on the Monday. having spoken to Sol and yeah, there we go. It was kind of done. So literally in the space of 24 hours went from I'm not looking anymore to I'm going back to the East Midlands and I'm going to coach a WBBL team.
Yeah, and I guess the whirlwind word you've used there is probably about right. So you obviously Southampton, Leicester are pretty far apart. How are you managing the move?
I mean, I'm up here now. I moved end of the first week of August. Ran the Riders All-Star Camp, helped to run that rather. So I'm kind of here. I'm kind of embedded, but just logistically, it's been a little bit tough. We just bought a flat in Southampton 3 weeks before I took the job offer. So figuring out that kind of stuff is going to take a little bit longer. We're not quite there yet. My partner, fortunately, has quite a flexible job. She can work from anywhere. So she's kind of splitting her time a little bit, which is nice because, we've been together for 16 years now. It's a bigger part of my life than basketball, probably the only thing that is bigger than basketball. So.
A part of the press release was the fact it was a 3-year deal. How important is that to have that stability for a short while?
Yeah, it's huge. It's just not something you get very often in British basketball. No. It's not something you get at all. And, this will be my third club in 3 years now. So for me, it's a massive thing to know that there's support there, that not that the club wants me, because I think all of the clubs I've been at in the last 4 years have wanted me. I think that's been very obvious from the way that they've treated me. But the fact that the Riders have the sustainability to support me for that 3 years, I think is huge for me.
So the role obviously is the WBBL, but as well as the books, the university competition. Obviously, it was 67 games last season. I don't think that should be a problem, no.
I think I said this in my conversations before I took the job, but I have no kind of worries about my ability to do the amount of work.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a problem, I don't think. I think the challenges at Leicester and at Loughborough are really exciting new challenges, working with a bigger team, more support staff, established assistants. We had a staff meeting today and there's 9 or 10 of us in the room. That's not an experience I've had before, having to manage a team like that. I'm very excited by that.
So obviously Loughborough reigning champions. Do you feel a bit of pressure coming in?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel any pressure. It's good pressure, it's very positive pressure. And I think we'll have a squad that is certainly capable of competing for that final, hopefully. In terms of, but I think there's other universities out there that are certainly going to up their game this season. So it's going to present a different level of the league and a different challenge, which is fantastic. I sincerely hope that we've put together something that is highly competitive in that league. Yeah.
And did I read right? You used to play for Loughborough's rivals. I mean, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, this is right at the end. Brunel and Loughborough used to have a big rivalry, and I came into Brunel just as that was kind of petering out. It was still very ingrained with us that Loughborough were our rivals. There were a number of songs directly targeting Loughborough that I will not be singing anymore. But it is weird. It does feel weird to be coaching in the purple. I'm going to have to try and adjust to that a little bit. But at the same time, it's a fantastic university. It's a fantastic pedigree. I already had meetings with some of the Loughborough staff, some of the other sports coaches, and kind of blown away by the level of support that's available at the university as well. So I'm, again, very, very excited and very happy to be here.
So how does recruitment look like for you then? Are you the main part in that? Obviously you haven't been in for that length of time, so was some of the recruitment done before? How does that all work?
So I mean, this will be the third year where I've had some kind of major task with recruitment in a row. So for me, I'm kind of used to this. Recruitment certainly started before I was announced, let's put it that way. And it's just, I mean, I I probably live on American time for about 2 weeks. I'm very, very lucky, and I have to say, Crewmesh had already begun a very good recruiting process. Some of the players we've announced, the initial conversations were started by Crewmesh, and I can only thank him for the way he's handed over. But then the other players, it is just kind of it's a relentless slog of calling contacts, calling agents, going through list upon list upon list of players from America, Australia, Europe. We've kind of been through everything, and you always get some false starts and things that don't work out. It's not a numbers game because you're looking for quality, but you do have to cast a pretty wide net and see what's out there.
What would you say your biggest challenge was this year then, as coming into this new role? What are you going to think is a big challenge?
I think adjusting to the league is going to be a big challenge. Every league is different. Just because it's in the same country doesn't mean it's the same. The step up from NBL 1 women's is big. The WBBL, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. It's a big level change. And even within the WBBL, there are levels, right, as there are in any league. I think that's going to be a big thing. And then it sounds weird because it's a very positive challenge, but I actually think after last year, focusing on one group is actually going to be a bit of a challenge for me. Because yes, it's very tough to split your focus between two teams and two different genders, two different teams.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's always something else to kind of focus on, so you're never trapped in one thing, if that makes sense. I think actually that's going to be a big readjustment for me because I've always had the last 3 years, I've had, a women's and a men's team that I've coached. I've done both. So I think actually going to just focusing on one team is probably a weird adjustment that I'm going to have to make.
Let's talk about the WBBL now then, just as a whole. Obviously, you're coming in from a little bit outside, but what's your opinion on the league and the direction that it's going?
I think it's going in a great direction. A big part of me accepting the role is the fact that I like what the league is doing. I like where it's going. There's obviously some major drivers there in terms of what Lions and Caledonia now are doing with Europe, and with the strength of the groups that they can put together. And I think we'd be lying if we said there wasn't a driver financially there, obviously, as well. They're putting great money in. I want to be clear, I don't see that as a negative in any way. I think it's fantastic. But I think that drives the level of the league, and it also drives the level of player who is interested in the league. When you can turn around and say, even if you're not on one of those teams, but hey, I'm going to compete against Euro Cup girls. I'm going to compete against girls who play in the Euro League, or girls who have played in the Euro League, or girls who played in the WNBA. I think that attracts more talent to the league all around. And we have some big bonuses over here in terms of certainly recruiting in certain countries like America and Australia, because we're an English-speaking country. Culturally, there's no real massive adjustment, and it makes it a lot easier for certain girls to come here. But when you combine those things, I think the level of the league is going to raise. And one thing we've said, we're kind of quietly confident that we've put together a competitive team. At the same time, you can kind of see around the league, and announcements are starting to come out. Everybody else looks like they're raising their level as well. So, it's going to be really interesting this year. I kind of just want all the rosters out so I can look at it and go, okay, this is it. What are we up against? So it's going to be really exciting once those rosters are out and everybody can kind of see what's there.
I think there's so much unknown this year that the roster seems to be completely different to last year. A lot of players moving on to different countries or new players coming in. I think it's just the unknown. I think that's quite exciting in itself.
Yeah, 100%. We were talking about this today. So I asked, obviously, Tor, who was at Oakland last year, is my assistant this year in our NBL 1. Was 2 coach. And I said to him, who's going to run the same stuff that they have in previous years? And he went, he's changed so much, Ben, I don't know. So you can't even go back and look at past footage from the last couple of seasons and say, well, they'll definitely run that this year because, like you say, there's so much unknown, which is exciting.
Right, I've got some questions from different fans. Let's start with what major things did you learn last year that you might implement this year last year at Solent that you might implement with Leicester?
That's a really good question, and I don't know how much I want to give away.
That's fair enough.
I, I know I will probably I will change the way I structure things a little bit to actually give um, break things down a little more than I have the last couple of years, because I've been very much 5-on-5 in terms of practice sessions the last couple of years, both men's and women. And I will also probably give the girls a bit more of a break than I've given players, because a lot of my stuff is scrimmage based or condition games. And actually, that wears players down a lot quicker than you realise it does. So that's probably something I would change without giving anything too tactical away.
Okay, what do you think the best way to deal with losing is?
Oh wow. Figure out what you're doing wrong, address it, move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't say it any simpler than that. Yes, you need to look at where the problems are. You need to analyze. You need to improve. You can't internalize losing. You know, we talk about our teams they just don't know how to win. You know, teams will get close and then drop it because they've lost all their previous game, or teams that they just know how to win. They're just that is a kind of a thing, and I think the more you internalize losing, the bigger that gets. So I'd say there is definitely an element of next job.
Yeah. Okay. Funniest thing one of your players has done on court.
Oh God. I won't name the player because it'll embarrass her if she ever watches this. Her teammates will know exactly who she was. We were in a university game, and she committed 4 offensive fouls in one possession, of which only one was called, and each offensive foul put another player on the opposition team on their backside.
Wow.
So in the space of 10 seconds, she floored 4 out of 5 players on the other team. So that's probably the funniest thing I've ever seen on a basketball court.
Wow. Right then, let's go for the quick fire questions. Just to get to know you a little bit better, of course. Things like, what is your favorite Netflix series?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I've really been enjoying The Witcher. I don't know if I'll enjoy season 4 now, but I've been enjoying The Witcher up till now.
Okay, nice one. Tea or coffee?
Tea, always. Don't drink coffee. Can't stand it.
I can't stand either of them, to be fair, but yeah, I'll give that one. What annoys you the most?
Oh, I don't have a good answer to that. Probably myself, because I keep losing things like keys and glasses. That would probably be the most annoying thing, which all of the players who play for me will tell you about happily.
Do you have a specific game day routine? Something you kind of routine you follow every time you play or coach?
As a player, as a coach, I like either on game day or the game before, I like to go and get a shave. Ideally, game day if I have the time, if it's a home game. I like to go and get a proper Turkish shave. The most relaxing thing I think I get on a regular basis, and it's one of the very few things I spend my money on, is a good shave. So that would probably be that.
Nice. Favorite meal?
A really good burger or anything Greek.
What's your highlight of your basketball career?
That's another tough one. Probably last year. Probably winning the playoffs for the girls last year was a big thing. It's not always about winning, but for that group,
Mhm.
And considering we had zero expectations when we took them on, I think that's probably the biggest highlight, because we went from them not having a coach to winning the league. I think that's probably the biggest highlight.
Yes. What is the thing you are most scared of?
Wasps. I'm phobic of them. Anything with a stinger that's yellow, I will run away. I will run away like a 5-year-old screaming. I can't
You
stand
meant to
it.
stand really still.
I can't do it. I can't be in the room or within 2 feet of anything that buzzes and has a stinger. I am terrified.
Fair enough. What's the one thing that's the top of your bucket list?
Oh God. Probably, so cliche for a coach, but probably to go to an NBA Finals Game 7. That's a childhood dream, so that would probably be up there, to be able to do that. To go to a really competitive Game 7 NBA Finals, that would probably be it.
So are you a like an avid basketball watcher? Do you follow specific teams in NBA, WNBA, different leagues around the world?
I was very, very avid with the Spurs when I was growing up. Tim Duncan was one of my favourite players. I'm not so avid anymore because
You don't have
it's
time.
very hard to.
You don't have time.
It's like, well, yeah. I mean, last year I really didn't. It's also kind of hard to watch it for enjoyment because it's your job. So anytime you're watching something, you're trying to, oh, what was that? Let me rewind that and see what they did. Well, I missed
Overanalyze
that.
it.
I have been to the Euro League Final Fours the last 2 years, which is a really good opportunity for me to just be a fan, to the men's Euro League Final Fours. And they were both great experiences. I'm pretty much trying to go every year if my schedule allows.
So did you say Tim Duncan was your favorite basketballer? Is that of all time?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Michael's the best, but I think Tim was probably my favorite. Yeah. Well, I don't know what that says about me, but
What is your main strength as a coach?
I think building relationships. I think when I was younger, I thought it was technical and tactical and all these things a coach is supposed to be. But I hope it's building relationships, and that players would think that as well. That's something I hope I can hang my hat on a little bit, and continue to get better at.
I know you talked about again in that press release for the Riders. You talked about wanting to fill the arena, get more fans in. What message would you give to the Riders fans to make sure they come and attend your games?
I mean, firstly, please come and watch. And secondly, we think we're going to put on a really fantastic product of basketball for you. Some really high IQ, hopefully fast-paced, unselfish basketball. And it's going to be a fantastic environment. And if we can get down and show the ladies that really support them, it's going to be huge, because we have some really fantastic role models for young people on this team. I'm really excited by the kind of people that we've recruited and that we've retained. I just think they're going to be fantastic role models for both young girls and boys. And the more people we can get in that arena, the more we can spread that message of what basketball is and what basketball gives you.
Sounds good. I've got one more question before I ask that one. I just want to say a huge thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and your philosophy on basketball. So yeah, good luck with the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I can't wait to come down and visit at some point. I'm not sure when, but at some point in the season, hopefully. But last question. Finish this sentence. I love basketball because
it is so dynamic. It's so driven by the people on the court, because there are so few of them, and how they work together is the most important thing.
Nice. What a way to finish. Again, thank you so much, and good luck with the season.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.